What if the ticking clock on your wall isn't measuring a reality outside of you, but is actually an echo of your own mental pulse? Most of us move through the world believing we are being carried by an invisible current, a river of time that flows from the cradle to the grave. We feel like victims of this passage, watching the past dissolve behind us and the future loom ahead as an impenetrable fog. But according to the laws of physics and the whispers of ancient wisdom, that current doesn't exist. You are not a passenger on the river of time. You are the one manufacturing the river itself. Think about the last time you were truly lost in a moment. Perhaps you were creating something, or perhaps you were staring into the eyes of someone you love. Where did the hours go? Why did they vanish so effortlessly? On the other hand, remember a time of deep boredom or waiting. Why did those same minutes stretch into an eternity? If time were an objective, external force, it would be as rigid as iron. But it isn't. It is fluid, elastic, and entirely dependent on the observer. Richard Feynman, one of the most brilliant minds of the 20th century, discovered something deeply disturbing about this internal architecture. He began to experiment on himself, simply counting to 60 in his head and comparing it to a stopwatch. He found that regardless of whether he was running upstairs or lying perfectly still in bed, his internal rhythm remained eerily stable. He would reach 60 when the clock hit 48 seconds. His mind was running on its own, private schedule, but the real mystery appeared when he tried to do something else while counting. Feynman found he could read complex text while his internal count continued undisturbed. His eyes and his linguistic mind were using one channel, while his temporal count was using another. However, the moment he tried to speak, the counting vanished instantly. When he shared this with his colleague John Tukey, a mathematician at Princeton, the result was the exact opposite. Tukey could speak while counting, but reading was impossible for him. Why does this matter to you? Because it reveals that your mind is not a single unified thing. It is a complex machine running multiple simultaneous programs on separate channels. One channel monitors the sound of this voice. Another maintains your balance in space. Another projects your plans for tomorrow. None of these programs were consciously activated by you, yet they run in parallel every second of your life. And here is the mind-blowing part. Each of these programs processes time at a different speed. The channel that identifies sounds operates in milliseconds. The one that plans your future works in years. The one that accesses your memories can cross decades in the blink of an eye. These channels are not synchronized. They are just functioning together, weaving a tapestry so tight that you perceive it as a single continuous experience of life. That sensation of a now moving forward is a manufactured illusion, a trick of the internal light. The ancient Hermetic texts, written thousands of years before the first physicist was born, suggested that the all is mind, the universe is mental. If this is true, then time is the primary mental construct, the first tool the mind uses to organize the chaotic data of infinity. We are like children who have built a maze and then become terrified because we cannot find our way out. But what if the walls of the maze are made of nothing but thought? If the passage of time is a construction of the mind, we have to ask a question that might keep you awake tonight. What exactly is passing? If you can alter the speed of the clock just by changing how you use your internal channels, what else about this solid reality are you manufacturing without realizing it? Is it possible that the past hasn't actually disappeared and the future isn't yet to come, but that both are rooms in a vast holographic library that you simply haven't walked into yet? The Upanishads taught that the ultimate reality, Brahman, exists entirely outside of time. It isn't that it lasts forever, but that it doesn't participate in the sequence at all. It is an absolute simultaneity, where everything that has ever happened and everything that will ever happen exists at once. We perceive a sequence only because our consciousness is like a narrow flashlight, illuminating one frame of a frozen film reel at a time. Imagine your consciousness as a single point of light, capable of illuminating any corner of a vast, dark library. You move the light from one book to the next and you call that the passage of time. But the books were all there before you arrived, and they will all be there after you leave. The sequence is in the movement of your hand, not in the existence of the library. This realization forces us to deconstruct our most fundamental paradigm. If the universe is a complete, unchanging structure, then you are not a victim of your history or a prisoner of your future. You are the architect of the perspective that makes those things feel real. But if you are the one holding the flashlight, who chose where to point it? And more importantly, can you learn to widen the beam until the past and the future merge back into the light? To understand how we can step outside this maze of time, we must first look at the blueprint used to build it. If the universe is indeed a mental construction, as the Hermetic masters and modern quantum physicists suggest, then there must be a mechanism, a set of gears that turns our thoughts into the sensation of minutes and hours. This brings us to the first great secret of the holographic architect, the principle of the implicate order. Think of a piece of paper that has been folded 1,000 times until it is nothing more than a tiny, dense point. On that paper, a vast story is written, thousands of characters and centuries of history. While the paper is folded, the story is hidden. It is enfolded within the point. But as you begin to unfold the paper, the story reveals itself in a sequence. You see the beginning, then the middle, and finally the end. To someone watching the paper unfold, it looks like time is passing and events are happening one after another. But in reality, the entire story was already there, complete and whole inside the folded point. The physicist David Bohm called this the implicate order. He suggested that our three-dimensional world, the one we see and touch, is merely the explicate, or unfolded version of a much deeper reality where everything is interconnected and simultaneous. In this deeper layer, there is no here and there, no before and after. There is only a single unified field of information. Your mind, acting as a biological processor, is what does the unfolding. You are not moving through time, you are unfolding the universe into a sequence so that your limited senses can process it. But how does this manifest in your actual life on a mundane Monday morning? It starts with the way your internal channels operate, those separate programs that Feynman and Tukey discovered. The reason you feel trapped in time is that these channels are constantly competing for your attention, creating a flicker effect that mimics motion. It is very much like a movie projector. If the frames move fast enough, you see a smooth, moving image. But if you could slow the projector down or step out of the theater entirely, you would see that the movement is a lie. There are only static images. The first practical key to reclaiming your role as the architect is what we might call the protocol of sensory isolation. Most of us are victims of our own mental noise. We are constantly narrating our lives in our heads. I am doing this, then I will do that. I wish I hadn't done that. This internal monologue is the primary channel that manufactures the sensation of past and future. It is the metronome of your prison. To break this, you must experiment with your internal channels just as Feynman did. Try this today. Find a task that requires your full physical presence, something as simple as washing the dishes or walking through a park. Usually, while you do these things, your verbal channel is running a commentary about the future or the past. For a few minutes, intentionally shut down the verbal channel and switch entirely to the sensory channel. Feel the temperature of the water, the texture of the ground, the specific hue of the leaves. When you do this, you might notice a strange sensation. The weight of time begins to lift. This is because you have stopped feeding the program that manufactures sequence. For that moment, you have entered what athletes and artists call the flow. In the flow state, the me who is doing the task disappears, and with it, the clock that measures the task vanishes. Why? Because you have temporarily synchronized your mental channels into a single unified stream. You have stopped unfolding the paper and started simply being the paper. This leads us to the second principle, the law of correspondence. The ancient Kybalion states, as above, so below, as below, so above. If the universe is a hologram, then the smallest part of it contains the information of the whole. This means that within your own consciousness right now is the seed of every moment you will ever experience. Think about that for a second. If every moment already exists in the implicate order, then your future is not something you are waiting for. It is something you are already containing but have not yet unfolded. This changes the way we think about intention and manifestation. It is not about creating something from nothing. It is about tuning your internal frequency to a specific frame that already exists in the cosmic reel. Imagine your mind is a radio. The music isn't inside the radio. The air is filled with 1,000 different songs all at once. The radio simply picks a frequency and makes that one song audible. If you don't like the music, you don't try to create a new song. You simply change the station. This is the practical application of the holographic principle. Your current life is just the station your consciousness is currently tuned to. To apply this, we must look at the third key, the implicate expansion. Most people live with a narrow consciousness. They focus only on the immediate problem, the immediate fear, the immediate frame. This narrow focus creates a sharp, fast sense of time passing. But if you can learn to widen your perception, to encompass more of the now simultaneously, the passage of time slows down. There is an exercise used by ancient contemplative traditions that serves as a bridge between this abstract physics and your daily experience. It involves a shift in how you perceive the observer. Sit in a quiet place and observe a single object, perhaps a candle or a stone. At first, there is you, the subject, and the stone, the object. This is the duality that manufactures time. But as you deepen your focus, try to find the gap where the observation is happening. Ask yourself, where does the image of the stone actually exist? It doesn't exist out there in the air. It exists in your mind as an electrical signal. Where does the feeling of your body exist? Also in your mind. If everything you perceive is happening inside your consciousness, then where is the boundary between you and the world? When that boundary begins to blur, you are touching the implicate order. You are realizing that the observer and the observed are two sides of the same holographic coin. In that state, the pressure to get somewhere or achieve something dissolves because you realize you are already there. You are the entire ocean, not just the wave. If this idea resonates with you, consider subscribing so we can continue this journey together, hunting for the keys that unlock the true nature of our reality. It seems the oldest advice in the world is to know thyself, and it is funny how that remains the hardest final boss to beat, perhaps because the self we are trying to know is actually the entire cosmos pretending to be a person. But we must be careful. If we are the ones manufacturing the passage of time through our fragmented channels, then we must ask, what happens if the channels stop entirely? If the metronome of the mind falls silent, does reality collapse, or does it finally begin? Think about the silence of the cosmos. Scientists used to think space was a vacuum, a big nothingness, but now we know it is a seething ocean of energy, a quantum foam, where particles appear and disappear in the trillions every microsecond. It is only because our senses are so slow and fragmented that we perceive space as empty and time as a flow. We are like people looking at a spinning fan. We see a solid, translucent disk because the blades are moving too fast for our eyes to track. But if we could speed up our perception, we would see the gaps between the blades. We would see the void. The mystery hunter does not fear this void. The void is not an ending. It is the source. It is the folded paper before the story begins. Every great spiritual tradition has developed techniques to help the practitioner sit within that void without fear. Whether it is the zazen of the Zen monks, the hesychasm of the desert fathers, or the deep samadhi of the yogis, the goal is the same: to synchronize the parallel programs of the mind until the flicker of time stops. When you reach that state, even for a second, you realize that your memories are not behind you. They are just frames you are no longer illuminating. Your future is not ahead of you. It is a frame you haven't turned the light toward yet. You are standing in the center of an eternal holographic library, and you have finally realized that you are the one holding the lamp. This brings us to a paradox that defines our human condition. If we are the architects of our own temporal prison, why did we build it so well? Why did we make it so convincing that we actually believe we can run out of time? Why did we invent the sensation of aging, of loss, and of death? Perhaps the answer is as simple as it is terrifying. Perhaps we invented time because without it, eternity would be unbearable. Without the illusion of sequence, there could be no surprise. Without the illusion of loss, there could be no value. Without the illusion of a beginning and an end, there could be no story. We are the eternal Brahman, the infinite mind, playing a game of hide-and-seek with ourselves. We have hidden the truth so deeply within the channels of our own minds that we have forgotten it is a game. So the next time you feel the pressure of the clock, the next time you feel that the years are slipping through your fingers like sand, stop. Remember Richard Feynman and his counting. Remember David Bohm and his folded paper. Remember that you are the consciousness projecting the illusion of sequence onto a frozen eternity. The question is no longer, how much time do I have left? The question is, how much of the eternity that I already am I brave enough to see? Because once you realize that the walls of the time prison are made of nothing but your own parallel thoughts, you don't need a key to get out. You just need to stop building the walls. But if the prison is an illusion, and the prisoner is a projection, then who is the one asking the question? Who is the I that wants to be free? This is the final mystery we must hunt, the one that sits at the very heart of the holographic flame. Imagine for a moment that the intuition which guides you through a crisis, or that sudden spark of a life-changing idea, is not a random firing of neurons in your brain. What if that voice is actually a signal from another part of the holographic library? If past, present, and future coexist as a single geometric structure, then the person you will be 10 years from now is just as real as the person you are today. Perhaps what we call destiny or inspiration is actually your future self, standing in a later frame of the film reel, sending a pulse of light back through the celluloid to guide your current focus. It suggests a staggering possibility. You are never truly lost, because the version of you that has already completed the journey is still there, holding the other end of the thread. This realization shifts our entire understanding of human responsibility. If the future is already written in the implicate order, then your role is not to struggle to make things happen through sheer force of will. Instead, your task is to learn the art of alignment. You move from being a builder who must create a life out of nothing, to a tuner who is learning to perceive the reality that best resonates with your highest intent. The practical application of this is surprisingly simple, yet profound. Your only real job is the maintenance of your own clarity. If you are the light of the projector, your only responsibility is to keep the lens clean. A clouded lens projects a blurred, chaotic reality, but a focused mind reveals the hidden symmetry that was always there, waiting to be illuminated. But this brings us to the final, most haunting mystery of our hunt. If we are truly the infinite consciousness of the universe, and if time is merely a cage we built for ourselves, why did we choose this specific life? Why did we choose to inhabit a frame of reality that includes the sensation of lack, the sting of grief, and the weight of the ticking clock? Perhaps the answer lies in the nature of light itself. A light that shines in a void has nothing to illuminate. It cannot know its own brightness. We created the shadows of time so that we could have the joy of watching the light break through. We became the mystery hunter so that the universe could experience the thrill of the chase, the agony of the question, and the ecstasy of the revelation. You are not a victim of the years, and you are not a prisoner of your biological clock. You are the eternal observer who has stepped into a temporary story to see what it feels like to be human. The walls of your prison are made of nothing but parallel mental programs, and the key has always been in your hand. The only question that remains is a cosmic one. Once you fully realize that you are the architect of the time you perceive, what kind of eternity will you choose to project next? Liked this journey? Hit subscribe for more mysteries so we can continue this hunt together. And that's our hunt for now. A wild mix of documented history and tantalizing what-ifs based on bibliographical sources. What do you think? Is time your master, or are you the one turning the dial?